Today, I want to talk about how gaming is the modern campfire for men. Gaming isn't about the game, it's about belonging without pressure. Just like men used to sit around fires, no agenda, no fixing, just presence. Now, gaming gets pretty judged fairly quickly. It's seen as childish, lazy, pointless, and especially for men with responsibilities. But judgment really misses the point. Men don't log on to escape life, they log on to feel human again. I can remember when I was doing a visit once and I was talking to the customer and I was like saying, what do you use your internet for? Do you use it for online gaming? Do you use it for browsing the web? What is it that you sort of use it for? And she sort of comes out with that age old thing. Oh, I don't let my other half game. That was such a child's thing that is. What is he, 12? I just thought, I bet you that guy loves the game. But I'm not here to judge. Each to their own. If that's what that guy likes, that's what that guy likes. But what I'm talking about here is I'm talking about that sentiment, that statement that that person said. It's a child's thing. And I think for most men, they perhaps feel a little bit when they talk about gaming. They just don't want to admit it. For me, I don't really care. A lot of people have said to me, "Oh, have you not grown up?" Well, no. The best times were when I was a kid. So why would I want to grow up? That's the thing with people is that we're supposed to forget what we were like as a kid and that enjoyment that we had. Hell no. I want to live that through and through. Now, the thing that gaming does and what the sort of the campfire used to be is that men were gathering without purpose. There was no pressure to talk deeply. Silence was more than accepted. And sort of stories were shared naturally. And there was laughter without explanation and presence without fixing. Connection didn't require vulnerability speeches. It was just there. And that's pretty much what gaming does. And what it provides is it provides shared focus and it's a low stakes interaction. You're in your own comfortable setting. You're at home. Where else could you be more comfy? And your friends, they're in their own safe space. They're at home. They're in their bedroom. They're in their whatever it is that they might be gaming. They're there. They feel comfortable. They feel safe. And you've got that banter between your mates. Yeah, you might take it a bit too far and say something about somebody's mum, but it's it's natural. It's safe. It's fine because you all know each other and you all know how it's going to be taken. And it's belonging without any performance and a place where no one expects any answers. And to be honest, there's a bit of laughter during a bit of pressure. And the thing is, you don't have to talk about your feelings to feel connected. You're just connected. You understand. Now, my personal experience with gaming is I've actually found that it's a good way for me to decompress. If I've had a bad day at work, if there's something that's gone way, way wrong, what I'll do, I'll throw on Battlefield or I'll throw on something else and I'll just game until that feeling has dissipated. And I've connected with family members over it. In my younger years, my dad would actually join me on Battlefield, and he still does to this day, to be fair. And as he says, I might not be that the best out of it and things like that, but my dad and I, we have a great laugh. In fact, my dad and I, we speak pretty much daily. I'll call him and I'll shoot the shit with my dad. And it's just one of those things of that's what we've done since I've perhaps moved out of home. But what I've found is that our Sundays, when we used to play religiously, no matter what, for an hour every Sunday, we used to play Battlefield. And what I found is that we had some absolutely cracking moments, but it gave us things to talk about. And it was just great to connect with my dad. I didn't think that he'd be one of my bestest friends, but he is. And then as well as that, I've got other games that I play with other mates, such as recently Arc Raiders and the Division and things like that. It's stuff that I wouldn't necessarily get back into, but because one of my close friends, Chris, he's been playing it, so I naturally get into it to see sort of how it is. But the conversation is never difficult, and it's just ease. It's just so easy to be able to speak, like I say, because it comes from that place of feeling safe and secure within your own home. You feel as though you can open up. And that's how the honesty sort of sneaks in itself, because you feel safe and you feel as though you're allowed to be yourself. I can honestly say that I've had real life conversations. There's a guy that my good friend Chris spoke to. We got into a group that were playing the division, and we required some assistance, basically looking for groups at whatever it is that you want to call it, LFG. Um, and this guy Tony, me and him, I can remember the first couple of times me and him were talking, we just connected and we just vibed. And this guy was going through his own troubles and his own things that happened, but him and we had an open conversation. And even though he was in America and obviously I'm here in the United Kingdom, I stayed up till sort of 1 o'clock in the morning. Even my good friend Dev, uh, over in America, him and we connected over Discord. When I used to create content on YouTube, I became good friends with him. I don't know, I guess we found common ground, and the conversation is fairly easy when we do connect. But it's sort of like that, taking a walk out with your best mate. It's like walking side by side with somebody. You don't necessarily address them face on. You're both looking ahead, but you're able to speak and talk. But if I'm going to be brutally honest, some of the most honest conversations have happened when no one is trying to have one. And that is nothing but the truth. But the one thing that I want to make sure that I'm absolutely clear on is the gaming versus escapism. Now, escapism is avoiding that reality indefinitely. What gaming provides is a temporary relief plus a connection, and it's the intent that matters more than the activity. It's only unhealthy when it replaces everything else. Gaming isn't the issue, it's isolation, and it's using gaming as an escape from the reality of the situation. Now, you could be looking at it and you could be thinking, well, actually, I might be gaming to escape my reality. What is it in my reality that I am actually trying to escape? Write it down. See why it is that you're picking up that game more than what you should be doing. Because there could be something there that may need addressing. But the one thing that I do want to do is I want to remove the shame from gaming. And I also want to remove the shame from that rest that it gives you. Men will feel guilty for resting, and they feel as though, well, we feel as though that we need to earn our downtime. And gaming sort of feels indulgent, but rest is just maintenance. It's that recovery, and it isn't weakness, it's sustainability. Being able to rest, being able to game, being able to connect, and things like that is needed and required for you to be able to sustain the person that you are. So this means that you're not going to snap. This means that you're not going to be short. Things that we spoke about and talked about in episode 1, things that we spoke about and talked about in episode 2. It just helps you connect and be able to be the best you that you can be, because you're releasing that pressure and you're releasing that stress that you otherwise may not very well have. Now, what I want to end with is, if you're feeling bad for gaming and if you're feeling guilty for resting and things like that, one thing I want to make clear is that if gaming helps you reset, then it's valid. If it helps you connect, that's what matters. You don't need to justify it. And the community doesn't need to always look serious. This is the one thing that pisses me off, is that people can just enjoy the games the way that they want to enjoy them. Leave them to it. Who gives a fuck if your KD is trash? If you're having fun and you're connecting and you're relaxing and you're doing whatever, so what? It's not all about being the best. And sometimes I need to remind myself about that, because I can get on a bit of a tangent and forget how to have fun in a game. It happens. It's natural competition. But sometimes the campfire just has a screen in the middle now. And that's the most important thing, is that if you're connecting over the internet, That's how it is these days. Is that gaming is pretty much how we used to just sit around and, perhaps toast marshmallows and shoot the shit or whatever it is. Who knows? But what I can say is do not feel guilty for gaming. It is probably one of the best outlets that there is, aside from obviously being out in nature. But what I will say is that I'm defending something that quietly keeps men going. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, take care, and I shall see you in the next one.